So here you can see the nomenclature, which is 1400 PMX, MABCD, right? So we'll be sharing all those documents with you, and let's see what each alphabet or it stands for, what it is. So this first one is TDA1400P, which is common for all the switches. It is making sound great after you long. So this TJ1400 is common for all switches. Okay. So next is MX. MX is switch type. We have different types of switch type: M1, M2, M3, M1, MV2, M2, V2, and currently we have M4 switch also. First few. First one. Right. Okay. So M1 is which we have fixed internal power supply unit access switch. So here we have only one power supply unit which is fixed, which cannot be removed, or user cannot be removed or replace it. It is completely fixed and it is used in access layer. So that is M1. M2 is dual power supply unit standalone distribution switches. Standalone is you cannot stack it, only it can be used as standalone. And here we have two power supply unit, one for redundancy purpose. If one fails and the power supply, we can use it. So here we have two power supply unit, and that is distribution layer switches. Okay. And the M3 is dual power supply unit. Again, that is stackable distribution switches. So these switches which can operate in both layer 2 and layer 3. Again, this is stackable. So if the switch supports certain release, that can be used for stacking, so that switches can be stackable, which gives the port capacity will be increased. Okay. So we have different release for stacking. So to make the switch stacking, you have to upgrade the switch to the stacking release. Okay. So this is what M3 switch. M1, V2 again. M1 it is V2 is version 2 of M1. So certain features will be different when compared to M1. And M1, V2 again we have only single power supply unit access switch. Again M2, V2 dual power supply unit stackable distribution switches. Again this one we have M4, which is a core switch. The core it supports basically higher capacity. So it is like you can use a core switch, and we are using that in layer 3. Okay. So basically now our M4 will be supporting 1G and 10G. So it can support up to 40G and 100G. So in this switch, the release is that supports only 1G and 10G. Okay. So here again the number of client ports. So MX is the switch type. The nomenclature, the MX is the switch type. Again, next we have N. So N is tiny switch. It's a number of client ports. If it is 4 means we call that as tiny switch. 8 is small switch. And 24 is medium switch. 48 is large switch. So here we have 48 ports. So that is including SLP or CAT6. This is just like, so if you take M1, M2, right? So mostly this electrical ports will be there. So when if the switch has, we are taking this number based on the number of ports that are present. So if you take M1, V2 means we will be having 24 port only electrical ports, and 4 will be of optical ports. So number of electrical ports it's more, right? So based on that they have given that this line ports. So their optical ports will be used for that uplink ports we will be using. So electrical ports we will take that as client ports. So based on that only they are differentiated. Okay. So next is the type of client port. Okay, if it is F, fast Ethernet, it supports 10 Mbps and 100 Mbps. Okay. And tri-speed again 10, 100, 1G. Okay. The port can support 3 different types of speed. Again, S for SFP port, for optical ports will be used. Okay. So if the client port is S, optical ports, here we will be using SFP. That only they are given there. So again, power over Ethernet. So if the port supports power over Ethernet is, let's take the port. So this port supports power over Ethernet. Let's say it is connected to some CCTV camera or some other phone, IP phone. So the single port can supply both power and it can carry data. can carry both the traffic and the power. That is what power over Ethernet. So if the port supports power over Ethernet, it has three different speeds: 10 Mbps, 100 Mbps, and 1G. Okay. Next, the dual SFP, that is 1G and 10G. If 1G will be using SFP and 10G SFP plus. Okay, then E, we have enhanced 10G, 25G SFP plus. So this is the types of client ports. So if particularly some customers will be asking, we need only this optical ports, then they will make that as optical ports. Okay. So that is what the types of client ports. Then we have again have type of uplink ports. So the next alphabet, which is B, that is type of uplink port. So that is, if it is three, that is supports tri-speed Ethernet. So three different speeds it will be supporting. Again, we have dual SFP, 1G and 10G combo port. So it can be used either as optical ports or electrical ports. So if it is electrical ports, three different speeds: 10 Mbps, 100 Mbps, and 1G. If it is optical, it will support 1G. Okay. Again, S SFP port, Q 40G uplink. We have then U, that is 40G or 100G. So this is the different types of uplink ports we have. Okay. Next is the software license layer 2. If it is L, layer 2, LS means layer 2 plus static routing. If it is M, metro features like extra features like ERPS and OAM for operation, administration, maintenance, all those features will be added. So next S, layer 2 and layer 3, IP basic routing protocols will be supported. And E, BGP, PBRT, so more advanced routing protocols will be supported by the switches. So these are the different types of software license the switches can hold. Okay. So next we have special features. ET, extended temperature, -10 to 65 degree. The switch can handle, and industrial temperatures -40 to 75. And then construction is nothing but like if we are like mounting the switches like this, like horizontal. If it is supports thin construction, you can mount it like this, so that more spaces will be not be occupied. So, okay, that is what thin construction is. Okay. So so RP is again grid and power and DC power configuration. So these are the basic nomenclature. What? So here we have, I'll show you. So here you can see, right? So here this each nomenclature will be supporting. Now you can see here. TJ 1400P is common for switches. M2 is M2 switch. 24 is 24 port switch. Again, tri-speed. So it will be supporting three different speeds. Okay. And D is dual SFP. And LS is the software license we hold. Static routing plus layer 2. And it is M2 V2 version 2. This is how we define the nomenclature.
This nomenclature is common for any switch or for this only.
So here the only
all the
feature
features,
for all TEJAS switches here. So according to the features that will differ.
TJ M2
Is same.
Ma'am, just possible just 10 minutes to elaborate the switches, its purpose, its significance, because it's for new for me.
Okay.
That's why just introduction.
Okay. Sure.
Okay. Just 5 to 10.
Sure. So basically, switches is it operates in layer 2. Layer 2 means it basically reads MAC address. So where routers read the IP address. So basically, it is operates in the layer 2, and here we have all different types of switches. So basically, it transfers line forwarding. It like from our access device, let's say our computer, printers, all those things will be forwarded to the switch. The switch will be then taking to the router. Then router will be, if you want to like send it, my laptop is in one network. If you want to send it the message to in your network means, here we will be first the device, access device will be sending it to the switch. Next router. Next only it will be, the router will be having certain features to transfer the message to again to your network. So in that network, again router will be receiving it, then only switches again to your access device. So this is how basically it happens. So here we have the thing is,
Without switch also it's connected, just like home device. There's no need of switch, only router.
yeah, that is also fine. But if you have taken industrial features, so like to handle all those things, we are using switches. So one thing is the, like we are before switches, we are having hubs, right? Hubs we are using. So here we have only one collision domain, correct? So let's take this hub has 28 ports, but only one collision domain. So it collides. So it can only transmit one time. It cannot receive and transmit at the same time. So that's why we call that as half duplex. Okay, but switches is,
Collision level.
Ah.
Separate.
if it has 28 ports, it has 28
Collision.
collision domain. So it is full duplex. It can transfer and receive at the same time. So there is no collision will be happening. Okay, this is what the basic difference would be. Same like routers will also be having different collision domain. But to communicate between different networks, we will be using routers. But if you want to communicate in the same network, you can use switches. In your company only.
Company or
Or you are connecting, then you can use the switches. Okay.
हाँ, दूसरे करके भी
Now we have seen all those like basic information about switch. Next we will see how to give IP address. Okay. Commissioning of switches. Commissioning is nothing but giving IP address. So IP address can be given to the switch in two types. One is network port. Another one is service port. Okay. So here in your switch, you can either configure only network port or service port. You cannot configure both. This you can give IP address in a two-way, but you can configure it in a, either you can give network port or service port. Okay. This network port is inbound DCL. Is outbound. So let me data communication network. Okay. So let me explain how this network port. Let's take which one?
Hi, hello.
Yeah, hello.
Yes, screen recording is not changing here. We are stuck on the same screen.
Oh, I'm writing in the board actually.
Okay.
And I will take this. I'll write it here. I'll take that writing part and I'll.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I'll take that.
Okay.
आपको देखते बच्चे आराम से सब teachings देखिए क्या करोगे सीधा they tried all that to create services once. वही सही है अच्छा फिर हम तक कैसे नहीं जाता वो स्कूल तो लोग हाँ वो करेंगे बाबा की सर्विस उसे बेंच कर देते हैं बस स्लाइडिंग जाता है अपने क्लास में एक साथ कराते हैं ना तब
हाँ
दूध आता है लेक्चर वाली बस
हाँ मेरा तो गोटा बड़ा कॉल ट्रेनिंग अब कामटी কথা হওয়ার তুমি করতে করি না
One second, only that right thing thing.
Hello.
Because
Hey, this is from last year. I took it from there.
okay, which board it is? This one. Pen was not there.
Yeah. So some people have joined from online also. So
Okay.
for them, I'm writing the board, they cannot feel it.
The entire box of okay, you can start with something, arrange something. Okay.
Okay.
Meanwhile, you'll go. It does show on the product.
Okay. In this writing part is missing. That's where, yeah. So we'll see this network port and this one switch 2. Okay. Okay, this is network port. So here, let's say our core switch is in Bangalore. And our switch 1 is in Chennai. And the switch 2 is in Calcutta or this is in Delhi. So let's say this network port connection will be off. The NMS port here is right. NMS port. This The switch 1 NMS port will be connected with the core switch. Whereas this two connection will be the trunk port. So whereas Chennai is, when compared to Bangalore, it is of nearest distance, right? So we will be only one switch will be connected to the core switch. Remaining switches will be connected between them. So here the communication between, here one port will be connected with the switch 2 port, and switch 2 one of the port will be connected to the switch 3 port. So the connection between switch 2 and switch 3, all those things will be happening because of VLAN ID. Correct?
Is switch 1, switch 2 are L2 or L3?
L3. Okay, but basically our switches, all this commissioning of IP address is same procedure only. Whether it is L2 or L3, same procedure. Okay.
When you both are different network, then maybe it must be L3.
So we have both L2 and L3. Okay. Okay, so here the communication between them will be happening because of VLAN ID. So let's say we are configuring here VLAN is 20. The same VLAN should be given to here also, right? So here the communication, that's why we call that as inbound. Here the communication is happening because of VLAN. So here another something we have is management VLAN. So in the router and all, we'll be having management IP address, right? So here we have management VLAN ID. So whatever VLAN ID is given here, the same VLAN should be given here also. By default, in Tejas switches, it will be 1. Only when you change it to this VLAN, then only communication will be happening. Until that, no communication. So by default, it will be 1. You have to change the management VLAN ID as 20. Okay, this is what network port. So for the first time, when you buy a switch for the first time, you have to physically should be present there, and you have to connect it to any of the port, and for that, switch laptop. Okay. So here, sorry, not any of the port, NMS port. NMS port with a laptop, and by the default IP address, we will be logging into the switch. That is 192.168.1.254 for TEJAS switches. For the first time, you have to connect the NMS port to the laptop by giving telnet 192.168.1.254, this default IP address. You can enter into the switch and you can configure and you can give the IP address. After that, connections will be given. After that, you will be giving the IP address, right? Using that IP address, you can remotely access it. Any doubts here?
What is NMS? Network management port.
Network management port. Here we have, right? Separate NMS port. So that NMS port will be connected to the core switch. So before this should happen. You should be physically present, and you have to configure it. You have to give the IP address. After that, you have to connect with the core switch.
So suppose we at Bangalore now, and this Chennai switch will be communicated by the media through internet.
We'll be giving this default gateway. Everything will be configuring it, right? Gateway, IP address, subnet mask, gateway. I'll show that.
Explain this one more time.
So for the first time, when you buy a switch for the first time, let's say this is new switch. I haven't given any IP address. So now we have opened from the box and we are keeping it. So from, you are taking a LAN cable. Okay, LAN cable, switch NMS port. The LAN cable using
LAN cable will connect to
NMS port to our laptop. Okay, the default IP address to log into the switch is 192.168.1.254. So we are changing the IP address of the laptop also to that subnet. Okay, so now we are logging into the switch. So here we have this mobile system or putty something. Command terminal. Okay, you'll be giving the command as telnet 192.168.1.254. Okay, this is the default IP address. You'll enter into the switch. Yeah, sure. Right?
Hello.
Okay.
Yeah.
You can see the board. Now by default IP address, we will enter into the switch. Again, we have to configure. And let's say we are configuring this switch and giving the IP addresses 168 or some other network also it can be. To your network. Let's give that as our network is 172. We are giving this IP address to the switch one. We are configuring it. Everything. You are going inside and giving the network IP address, subnet mask, gateway, everything. Then we are giving this VLAN ID also. The port you are going to connect with the switch 2. Here we are configuring this VLAN in this port. Let's say this is 0/2/0/2. Okay. Second port. We are giving that port VLAN ID as 20. Okay. Are giving that, and you are changing the management VLAN as 20. This is all you have to do. Now, IP address is assigned to the switch one. Automatically, it will log out when you give a IP address. So if you want to remotely access it, you can. For the first time only, you have to physically press it. After that, using this IP address, you can remotely access the switch.
6-level part is available or not? Graphical user in the GUI part.
GUI port is also there.
We can write this IP default I 192.168.1.
Yes. That is also there. But like the more recommended is only Mobaxtem. GUI port is also there. But some features, when compared to Mobaxtem, there's some features. You can access use when you are physically present.
It's my laptop.
Okay.
With my computer. For configuring. I can get it on browser.
I don't think so, like basically, but only we have given the IP address
By
based on
default,
this.
IP address is first time. For new,
By.
after we will change this IP address with our
Your network.
and that will be the IP address of that
switch. This one like maybe for the first time they'll recommend to use this command prompt or not UI. Okay. So again the same thing will be happening in the switch 2 and the connection between switch 1 and switch 2 and switch 3. So this is how you give the network port connection. Okay. But let's say in service port, the connection will be off. All this NOS ports will be connected with the core switch. So in our lab, core switch is also there, our switch is also there. So in such cases, you can use this service port and give the give the IP address. Same. Only the command will be different. Again, you'll log in into the switch using the default IP address. Where here we will be giving network parameters, here we will be giving service port IP. Same procedure, only the commands will be different and you will be giving the IP address. It will take. So here that is why we call this as outbound. So if you all your switches and core switches in this particular location, you can use this connection. Okay. So guys, the coffee has come. You can eat. Yeah, guys can have coffee.
5 minutes late.
Huh?
5 minutes late.
Yeah. This.
आप लोग काम कर देते हैं
The same element stored out in the color calculation.
आपको सर वो वाला करने के बाद बहुत डिस्टर्ब करते हैं उस वैसे नहीं होना हमारे ना ऊपर चेंज कॉल से कॉल आ ही जाता है मेरी काम को साइकिल करके ट्रेनिंग कर सकते तो तो क्या है बोली ये नहीं हो रहा है वो भी हो रहा है नहीं दूसरी अरे किसी को ऐसा फोन करने वाला है तो सर लोग साइड में आओगे ना तो ऐसा फोन करना एक सौ फोन लगेगा इसको ये है तो बड़ा फिर रोलिंग वही तो फिर भी तुमको फोन कर सकते हो ना डायरेक्टली नहीं कर लेकिन फिर 5 आदमी का साथ हां पहली बात उसने भी 10 मिनट खबर तो नाम पे बात ये भाई भरा रहा है क्या बस वो हमने बोला हैं क्या बोलेंगे मैं बोले बोले ये भरा रहा है हां भरा रहा है तो खुद हां कुछ दिक्कत आ रहा है ये पार्ट-1 में ये नंबर नहीं दिखा अरे सही कर ये सब नहीं ये रख देता है बोल दे लिया मैं तो अपने आप में स्मॉल लैपटॉप जो खत्म मैथन ऐसा है हम तो करते हैं लगाना नहीं चल रहा हम क्या करते हैं इसको नहीं पता कि यहाँ करना ऑपरेटर है हां तो नहीं पता ज्यादा डाउन क्या छोड़ दीजिए मैंने पेज चेंज को तक दिया राइट परमिशन और चाइना वाला इसका कुछ कर नहीं पा रहा अतिक्रमण हो जाए मैं चाइना इसको जा रहा है इसके पास बॉस के पास निकल रही है क्या जा रहा है क्यों हो रहा है आईटी का ना ना ये नहीं है हम कर हमको क्यों दिए ये नहीं है ये कर दो देखो अगला जाके नीचे से रिटर्न करो रिटर्न ऑफ मटेरियल बोले একটা স্ক্রিন আছে এই দিয়ে রিটার্ন করো আরে এমনি ম্যাডাম কে বললো না ছটা চেয়েছে এগুলি তো ছটা দিতে চাইছিলাম চারটে দিতে চারটে হবে না যত উনি নির্দেশন করে ততটাই দিতে হবে নাহলে ওখানে চারটে মাস্টার एक्सेप्ट करना होगा उसके बाद फिर करना होगा एकदम ना होते ना रिजेक्ट করে প্রেস করার বলতে হবে এত কি क्या बोला ওই জন্য পুরোটাই ভালো হতো हां सब प्रैक्टिकल नहीं हो जाएगा ना फर्स्ट टाइम ऐसे की जरूरत है चाहिए दिए कम टाइम में रिलीज होता है এটাই হয়েছে আবার তো আইয়ে গया क्या है ऐसे देखते तो दूसरा तो ये 5 साल पहले ही आ गया भावले जो 10 का एजुकेशन दिए जाने 6টা দিয়ে দেব চারটে দেব না সেটা হবে आप इस 10 का आगे से खुलता एक्सेप्ट कर नहीं वाले इसके अलावा बचाने नहीं खुलता ये डिफिकल्ट है रियली लोग तुम सब बोलता है ओके और वो छोटा ही अब इसे मान लिया एक्सेप्ट करेगा फिर अपना केपी में जाएगा फिर वो रिपोर्टिंग ऑपरेटर टैब पे क्लिक है सही है हां तो बोलते हैं तो उधर हवा निकल में चेक करते हैं उनको भेज दो इनको एक बहुत एक्सरसाइज हां ठीक है हम को मैसेज कर दो और मीटर का और ये नेट का सॉल्यूशन और लिस्ट है एक्चुअली ये मिल में जाए ऊपर वाला में पहला वाला में एटलीस्ट छोड़ दीजिए उसके अलावा रिपोर्टिंग ऑप्शन पड़ता है क्या मतलब ये एसएस के लिए फर्स्ट है अभिषेक बैन है वही से मतलब गई सिग्नल वही सर हम पता है हमारे साथ तो ये चाटा मार के सुनील क्या बात बोले वो व्हाट्सएप का तो वही एडमिन सही बोल रहे हो। हाँ सर, आप खुशी किसी से ऐसे पीठ में सर पे हाथ से मार दी। बहुत वायलेंस है आपसे आगे से तो ऐसे ही करते हैं। तो इनका प्यार जताने का तरीका थोड़ा सा अलग है। वायलेंस थोड़ा सा उसमें भी उनका स्माइल वैसा नहीं दिखेगा जैसा लेकिन साइड सुनी व्हाट्सएप रेडमी अरे मेंटल आ रही है किसी को व्हाट्सएप पे पूरा सीन स्विच करने की ना सब चीज चालू है तो हम हेडर कॉल ट्रैकिंग वाला था लोडर वाला चालू करो यार और ये एकदम माथा खा गया ये बीच कुछ नहीं कर पा रही अरे अभी सर आगे एकदम सही है सैलरी नहीं देता सब कुछ अच्छा है क्रेडिट नहीं होता है स्टूडेंट अभी व्हाट्सएप में तो सुविधा दे रहा है बंद हो रहा है सो मैं पर राजस्थान में सुबह से पता है इन सोना शेयरिंग वाली से और उसका कार्ड का पता है क्या किया ना बने नहीं चल रहा उसको एक दिन बोला तो इसको मैसेज से उसने बोला कि मैं इसलिए के बाद मैं तेरे से
Now we will see how we will give that IP address, okay, network port and both service port. So here already we have given switches are in our lab. We have already given IP address, so I'll use that. Okay. This is user mode. Only admin will give that admin. Here no password. Enable. To enter into that privilege mode, we are giving enable. No password. So here, if we give show network, sorry, here we have given show service port. Okay. Okay. So in service port, you don't want to configure that management VLAN ID, all those things. So here just here we have configured only service port. Here you can see the IP address, subnet mask, the gateway. So interface status should be up. Okay. So let's see how we are configuring this network port. So if you give network question mark, here you can see. If you give question mark, what all features down, it will be, you can see that. Okay. So here we have PARMs, which is network parameters. So PARMs, again, enter the IP address. So here we will be giving the IP address of the switch. Same IP address I'm giving. Next, subnet mask. Okay. Next, if you give here, asking for gateway. Okay. Just give enter. That's it. Okay. This is how you give the network. In network port, you will be configuring using these commands. So once I told you the communication should be happening through VLAN ID, right? So for that also, you have to go into VLAN database, create a VLAN. Create a VLAN. Okay, next, go into configure mode, interface. Because we are going to configure the VLAN into a particular interface, right? So 0/3. Okay. Unit slot port. Unit slot port. Port is 3. We'll be giving VLAN participation. Include 20. Okay. Then VLAN PVID. PVID is for that we will see what is PVID, all those tagging. So this is just for network port. I'm just explaining it. So here we will be giving VLAN PVID as 20. So these all the commands need to be added. And again, if we give end and give network management VLAN also 20. Okay, first IP address, VLAN ID, network management, VLAN. So this is how you will be configuring the IP address to the switch. Now, using this IP address, you can remotely access it. First time, you will be connecting with the NMS port and your laptop. By the default IP address, you will enter into the switch. So you have to, your laptop IP also should be in the same subnet. Okay. Fine, right? So this is network port. If you want to give service port IP, we give question mark. Here it is asking for IP address. So this none, if you give service port IP none. So if a DHCP server have assigned an IP address to your switch, if you give service port IP none, that
Take from days.
if you give this none command, the IP address will be erased. Okay. Then you give service port IP, particular IP address, same like network port, subnet mask. Again, the gateway. Okay. Say this is only a single command. Enter. That's it. This is service port. This connection. Okay.
But the IP different for network port and service port.
What the?
IP address for service port and network port are different.
No, in a particular switch, you can either configure. You should configure network port or service port. Both you cannot configure.
Only one IP address.
Only one IP address. Network. So here we have different gateways. So
Mask that IP with your zero.
yeah. So here that's saying this 1.1.
It's 6.0. Should have no. So it mask. No. IP is working also. Also. No. I'm just asking. Suppose there is an IP and there is a subnet mask. If we mask it, we'll get the subnet
Zeros. Right? Yeah, correct.
After that, on the subnet ID, the first IP assigned for the network of that subnet ID.
You can give but for our gateway, we'll be giving .1 only. If 0 means it will choose any gateway that is available, right?
Yes.
If that is fine, you can give.
Gateway. What is subnet or gateway अलग-अलग? Gateway में दिखा देंगे identify the network. The gateway is all the traffic pass through that switch. जो भी traffic आएगा वो हाथ मूव के उसको भेज. Simple routing.
Okay. This is service port and network port connection. So next we will see about switch management. So some basic configuration, all those things. Okay. Let me open that slide. So here you can see 3 different modes, command modes. One is user executive mode, privilege mode, global config mode, and interface mode. Okay. So here, log in again. So this is user executive mode. User can be admin or guest. So here we haven't given any password to the user. No password, just enter we have given. So if you want to assign password also, you can give password. So that we will see. Next, this is user mode. So next is privilege mode. To enter into the privilege mode, you have to give enable command. If you give enter, you'll go into this next config mode, global config mode. So here, if you give exit, it will go into the before mode. Okay. And if you give question mark, you can see what a user can do in a privilege mode. Really, these things will be given to the user, admin or guest. If the user is given privilege mode, he can do only this. Enable, help, logout, ping, quit, show commands only he can do. He cannot do any configurations in the switch. Okay. Enable. Next, this is, if you go here you can see in config mode, what all the privileges the user can have, or put all those things. If you give question mark, you can find out all those things. Okay. Next, if you give config mode, here you can see. Again, in config mode, user will be having different privileges. Okay. Config, if you give question mark, here you can see all those. Okay. This is config mode. Interface mode is enter into one of the interface mode. Here. See. Config interface. Okay. And here if you give question mark, you can see what all the configuration you can do in interface. Okay. This is what 4 different modes in. So if you give exit, it will go into the previous mode. And if you give end, if you give 1 second, you give config interface 1/0/2, and if you give end, it will go to this previous mode, that mode it is. So here you have 2 different exit and end. Okay. And now we will see, here we will see how to change the host name. Here it is TEJAS NOS-EN, right? If we give host name, we give question mark, here it is asking for a host name. So let's say we are giving here TEJAS. It has changed into TEJAS, correct? And if you want to make it back, you give just no host name. It will go back to the default. Okay. And if you want to create a user, here by default, admin and guest user is there. If you want to create more user, config, username. Here it is asking for name. User stages is asking for level. Level 1 for read access, level 15 for both read and write. Okay, we will give level 15. And here you can configure. You can give just you can just create a user, or you can create a password to the user also. Here we are given level 15 for both read and write access. And if you give password, enter, it is asking for a new password. We'll give a password. Okay.
User password.
User. But you can log in using admin and guest also. But if you want to create a new user, we have created a user TEJAS. For the TEJAS, we are giving the password. For that user, we are creating a password. Okay. Now,
Security purpose, from our security team, they are saying change the admin name. By default, anybody can change the admin. Item something else.
or if you want to create the, you want to delete the admin,
Change the
change the admin name. Have you? I don't think so. You can. By default, both admin and guest will be there. You cannot change that admin. You can only create users.
Disable the guest name having admin like we can create. That is possible or not?
Okay.
I create pages one as a anybody can create an user and provide all.
Oh, you want to create a particular user as admin.
Delete that, but disable that.
Okay.
And disable the guest.
Okay, okay,
But security.
okay, okay. I'll check that. Okay, now we have created this. And if you give end, and if you give show users, both by default, again, both admin and guest will be there. But I'll ask that doubt and I'll check that and I'll tell you. So here we have created a TEJAS user. For user, we have given both read and write access. Okay. And if you want to delete this password, you can try. If you have like I'll.
Can you provide?
Hi, you can take it.
Can you provide access mode for TEJAS?
Yes. SNMP, yeah, we will. Yes, you can give access. Authentication, all those commands are there. So we'll try this now. You go into user will give pages. So now you can using this also. You can. Now if you want to delete it, again go into config, username, Tejas, no password. Okay. Password will be deleted. Oh, sorry. So before that, you have to make password as minimum length 0. And if you give no password, password will be deleted. If you want to delete the user, again, no user in Tejas. Okay. Both password will be deleted, user also will be deleted. You can check that. Show users, it will be deleted. Okay. This is we are creating a user. In the user mode, we have given the password. Let's see how we are giving this here. This enable mode is there, right? How we are giving password for this privilege mode. So for that, again, enable, we give question mark. Here it is asking for password. Enter the password. Here you can enter the password. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So here we have given the password. Let's check that. Admin. Enable. If you give, it will ask incorrect password. So now we will give the password. Now you can enter. Okay. Now if you want to delete that, again, no, enable password. Password will be deleted. So this is how you can give password to that user mode and privilege mode. Okay. Now, so here, so 3, 4 different modes we have seen. So again, this switch to network, same the giving IP address, that both network port and this service port, that only. Okay. Next, we have seen a host privilege. Okay. Let's see this. So here, something called write memory. So if you give write memory, the configuration will be saved. Running configuration will be saved. Okay. For that, we will be giving write memory. After that, we give show port. There are different commands. Show. You can see all those.
Copy running configuration.
Huh. We give copy. So the thing is, so here in our network, here we use something called 3C daemon. which act as this TFTP server. So that is here only. One second.
We have to install the 3CD only.
3CD. So here for us this TFTP. Here our in our network all those things is blocked. So you cannot like remotely we cannot copy or backup or the restore the running configuration. What we will do is we'll go and here in this lab we have our switches. So we will connect in the LAN cable. We can download all those things. So for if you for your network it will be allowed, right? So you can remotely you can download it. In our network this will not be able to download it.
We have to this software.
I'll show you the command. I hope
Just
you.
do the command.
Yeah, I'll show you. So here we give copy. Hey, we have.
We will install TFT server 3CD in our laptop. Then through Cat6 cable we will connect to our SD switches. Then
you have to.
Then show me the.
You have to give the pathway where that file should be downloaded. So here we are giving this desktop. Okay. We are giving that. Okay. Then here TFTP server. Where it is set. Okay, one second. I'll show you this. Copy NVRAM TFTP. One second. Yes. And one second, I'll see the commands it is. Here we have a startup config. NVRAM startup config TFTP. This copy NVRAM startup config, then the URL we will be giving TFTP IP address. IP address is my laptop because server is here, right? So here that application is showing some issues. I don't know. Just here you have to configure. You just give the pathway. My laptop desktop I have given. You can browse it also. You can see. You're choosing the pathway where the file should be present. Okay. Then give just to. That is in notepad format. Then this is like some issues it's here. Then give that TFTP server is click here to start. It is there, right? Can you see that? So just give start. That's it. That's all in 3CD. Next, you have to give the commands here. My laptop IP I will be giving. Next, file path we have chosen as desktop. Then startup file name startup.cfg. Have to give .cfg you have to give. That's it. And give enter. Are you sure you want to start at last? Give yes. This is not be happening, but I'm just showing this. Okay, here after your here it will come as file transfer successful. Okay, after that here in the desktop I've seen mine. I'll show you. Yeah, because we cannot do that here. I'll show you some sample like.
Just do that command.
One second. So you can use it, open it. So this was done already. I have one file was there. So if you give .cfg in the desktop, that file is present. So if you give in the notepad, so the configuration will be
reverse.
That this is how it is done. Okay. This is for backup. Again,
Just
yeah, I'll show the command here. This here. And the next command is to restore. Again, the same thing. Where it is. Copy TFTP. .68.2. Again, here switch dot cfg. Again, what is it? Just the name is fine. Next, here we will be giving nvram startup. This is for restore. Okay. So here we have different TEJAS.cfg running current configuration. It will be your downloaded system images, your software. And here we have
First part is source and second part is destination.
again this.
And we have to start talking. So distance. The TP server is any other aspect to cover?
Any other? We have different service. One is 3CDM and another is WinSCP. Or else we have to physically should be present there and you have to connect with the LAN cable and you can download it. That is possible. I can show you there, the lab. Because our network it is blocked, so we will not be able to access it. We can go into the lab and we can connect in the LAN cable and you can download it. This is now if you give show bootwar, you can see the release, current software release, what the switch is running. So this is not a M4 switch that you can see show inventory. This is like M324. So if you give show inventory, you can see all the system description, mission model, mission type, all those things. Okay. And power supply, card status, system fan status. Okay.
parameters of this.
All the parameters if you give show inventory. And if you give show bootwar, the current release.
Current release was.
Which release the software it is running, you can see that. Okay. And if you give show port, so here is 48 port switch, M3 switch. So here, if you give show port, you can see all those ports. 48 port switch, and we have this is up to 48. It is electrical ports, and the remaining all is optical ports we have. Okay, this is by show port. If you give show MAC address, MAC access list. You can see the MAC address table. Okay. We give show VLAN. You can see all the VLAN. VLAN 20 is assigned to the port 3 particular interface. You show VLAN, all those things. Show MAC address table. Okay. Again, what is this? Show
CD
hardware. Give show hardware. This will be having show PSU. You can see the power supply unit. Show fan. You can see the fan status. Okay. All those things. Next, what we have? This how to configure this telnet I'll show. Telnet. Okay. Give telnet con. And here we have two things, MAC sessions and timeout. So if you configure this MAC sessions at a single time, how many people can use a switch, single switch? You can configure that. How many people can use it? Timeout is configure that telnet login inactivity timeout. So if somebody is not using it, we configure that in 5 minutes. It will log out in 5 minutes. Yeah. So that is what this is. MAC sessions. Here you can see up to 12 people. 0 to 12. 12 people can use it. Okay. Just
By
give.
default, how many
By default, like here we haven't configured anything. So by default, up to 12 people only you can configure it. If you give 5, only 5 will be able to do. Okay. Okay. Next, same like telnet con timeout. Here 1 to 160 in minutes. Okay. So this is how you will be configuring this telnet session for HTTP. Like if you want to browse this, you want to access a switch in browser means IP. Here we have IP HTTP. Okay. HTTP. Here session. Here you have to, you can configure that. Hard timeout is in hours and soft timeout is in minutes. Okay. And MAC session. Like if you want to use this switch in the browser. So I'll show that. See here. Here config this. In the remotely you want to access it in the browser. So you give this in 5. We are like IP HTTP session. MAC session is 5. Soft timeout also 5. Okay, after doing all this configuration, you have to enable it. IP HTTP server enter. So this command will enable this HTTP session. So here the IP address 1 in 14th switch we have configured this, and if you go into the browser. And this is text. Okay. We'll be giving username that same admin and no password. We haven't given any password. So here. Okay. If you give this, this HTTP server command will enable this in the browser. Okay. Here you can see all those system description name, all those things. So if you give here no IP HTTP server, HTTP access is disabled. If you go into this, you reload. Connection will not be there. So it will be disabled. Okay.
You are disabling only Telecom.
Huh.
We are enabling SSH and Geo.
Okay. HTTP same like this, same SSH HTTP. For SSH also same thing. This is backup and upgrade. We will see it tomorrow. Port description, passwords. We have set how many passwords. Same like clear counters, all those things. Show version. Here you can see the version. It is 1.1. So these are all the basic show commands. Okay.
We need to do patch update for this period of
Patch.
patch update. Many times we are getting recommendation from our cybersecurity to update your devices.
Okay.
Is there any such features which can get timely and
Hey, like you want to update the switches.
Update the
Okay. That is like you. Okay.
generally once we install, we don't touch it switch for years.
If Tejas releases,
If Tejas releases for that
update for that switches.
for that particular model.
Then we
Okay.
have to.
So like now this release, no, in M4 switch, the current release is supports 1G, 10G.
Right.
If you want to make it the switch to upgrade it to the next release, it will support 40G and 100G. So if you want to upgrade it, yeah.
Same hardware can be upgraded. Same hardware.
Yeah, you can same hardware, you can update it. But the thing is, you have to contact Tejas people. Then they only will be sharing those files.
Not for that bandwidth enhancement
Okay.
requirement. My question was not related to that.
Mm.
Suppose some security package also.
Okay.
So you came across that in next place. We generally what we do in other hardware.
Okay.
So is there any such practice?
So
Once we configure this switch, it's fine.
that is fine only. If you want to upgrade it to the next release, you have to contact.
Just like Windows, Android version.
Same like that one.
Only just update is there.
I think there's something that but अभी कुछ idea कुछ चल रहा है
नहीं होता है
बग आ गया इसका सॉफ्टवेयर में कुछ बग आ गया ये इनका जो बग आ गया ये प्रूव कैसे करेगा तो तेजस से पता चलेगा तब हम लोग
हाँ तेजस
तेजस का यहाँ पे किएगा तेजस
से सॉफ्टवेयर नहीं होगा यार
दक्षिण जो है 100% बग फ्री सॉफ्टवेयर तो है नहीं दुनिया में जवाब तो आता है वो तो पता चलेगा जब हम लोग को कम्युनिकेशन होगा तब तो
पीस
ऐसा नहीं कि बस जनरली क्या होता है कि हर 3 साल में प्रेस रिलीज कर देता है आप उसको अपना सॉल्व कीजिए वैसा नहीं है वही है
सिस्को वगैरह में सिस्को बिल्डिंग में है
हार्डवेयर डिवाइसेस में नहीं रहता
ज्यादा नहीं है।
एक बार से फॉर्मवेयर वन टाइम कंसीडर
हाँ, firmware update. Hardware will be the same. No, 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 same.
Same or
अपडेट दी
Firmware. Yeah, same. Okay.
नहीं लिंक काम कर रहा है उसका ना स्पीड में बना दे सब करेगा स्पीड जो है ना उसको मिसमैच हो रहा है उसको मैच करना है सब काम करते हैं
नया लॉट है क्या फीस तो क्लियर हुआ है ना मेरा नेटवर्क में खाली तेरा फीस है अरे ये मिस तो कैश कर दे 80% हां तो 80 10 लोग इन्होंने ऐसा
अगर वेट भी 5 किलोमीटर दूर है टेक्निकल बिल्डिंग तो वहाँ और एज स्पॉट में वेट भी बड़ा है तब हम
नहीं लगा कोई छोटा बंदे जाते कास्ता मार फूल लेने चाहिए वो करेंगे
और मेरा बहुत सारा बात है
So next we will see about VLAN. So basically, VLAN is which
First
one?
explain the basics.
Sure. Okay.
Basic topic.
Okay.
Then
Okay. VLAN is nothing but it is virtual LAN network. Okay. So for example, let's take a 8-port switch. Okay. For example, we'll take a 8-port switch. Six. Okay. One, two, three, four, 5, 6, 7, 8. So as I said before, it is 8-port switch. Switch will be having 8 position domain, got a single broadcast number, correct? So let's say my laptop is connected to this port number 2, my laptop. So I am sending some files, okay? Some files I am sending to the port number 2. Let's say 7 is, I want to send this file only to this 7th port number, which is connected to some other system or server something, okay? But what a switch is, what the behavior of switch is, if some file is sent to the port, it will start broadcasting to all the ports. So all the 1, 3, 5, 7, every ports will be receiving the same file, whatever I have sent in the port number 2. So this is what happens in the switch. Let's say in your network, you are sending some security files or something highly confidential. You doesn't want everyone to see the files, right? So in this place, when there is no security, there comes the VLAN. So VLAN is basically virtually you are separating the switch into two. You are not like breaking it, you're just virtually separating it into two. Let's say this is we are separating it two. Now we are assigning VLAN ID. So communication here the VLAN ID it ranges from 0 to 4095. Okay. Now how this VLAN helps in virtually separating us in 1, 3, 2, 4, I am giving the VLAN as 100. Okay, this is the VLAN ID for 1, 3, 2, and 4. Whereas for 5, 7, 6, and 8, VLAN ID is 200. So this will be 100 and this is 200. So now whenever I am sending the data, now I am sending the same file in the port number 2 with the VLAN ID 100. So the ports who are having the VLAN ID 100 only will be receiving this file, whereas these guys will not be receiving it. So this is what VLAN do. Basically, we are just separating, and in this way you can increase the security, right? This is not here, but it's like that. So here we are giving each port will be having the VLAN ID. Only 100 will be receiving this file. This will not be receiving. Thus, security, we can increase the security. There will be no collision. So this is what basically VLAN does. Okay, then here comes in VLAN we have two ports, right? One is access port from right. Okay, okay. Now access port, if two is connected with some laptop or something, that is access port. Switch to switch connection is trunk port. Okay, that is what two different types of ports. Then like this one. Okay, we write it here so that these people also can see it. Now it's fine, right? Okay, so they also will be seeing it. Okay. So VLAN. So we have seen here access port and trunk port. Correct? So here we have two things. One is PVID and another one is tagging. Okay. Let's take a setup. Let's say my system is connected to switch 1, again switch 2, again to a laptop. Okay. So now here we have two different configuration. One is PVID and tagging. So PVID is basically we do in the access port. Okay. PVID in the access port. If you are configuring and a port as access port, then you have to give the command as VLAN PVID. And for trunk port to trunk port, that here we call that as tagging. So PVID is basically a temporary VLAN ID for the Ethernet frame to enter into that network. So laptop 1 here, this laptop 1 want to send the data to the laptop 2. So for that, we are just giving a temporary VLAN ID, that is PVID, for the frame to enter into the network. So when it enters here it comes with the PVID in this port and it will drop here. The ID will be just for that, it is entering. And here we will be doing this port and this port will be doing tagging. And again here we will be doing PVID. Okay. So when it reaches this laptop, the tagging will be, the VLAN tag will be dropped here. So this is what basic both VLAN, PVID and tag. So first we will be creating the VLAN and we will be configuring the access port. So if you are giving that as PVID, this access port. Okay. This is what simple thing in VLAN. I can show you that. Yes. Yeah, 1 second. Don't. Okay, here we will see how we are giving that VLAN. So first we will be admin enable. We give show VLAN. Already 20 and some other VLAN I've created. If you want to delete that VLAN, give no VLAN 20. Sorry. You have to go into the VLAN database. Give no VLAN 20. If you give no VLAN, all the VLANs will be deleted. You give show VLAN, you can see the VLAN is deleted, only the default VLAN one is there. Okay. Now we will create VLAN database. We will create VLAN 100. So I will draw the setup here. So laptop, switch, 2, backward 3. So here we will be in this port. Let's take this port as uh, let's take this port as 5 PVI. And here this port uses 10 here tag. Here also again 10 tag. This port again 0/5 will do PVI. So this is access port. This is port trunk port. And this is again access port. This is what configuration you will be doing. So let's see. We have created VLAN 100. Okay. Now exit. Go to config mode. Interface will give 0/5. Okay. 1/0/5. VLAN. We have participation. Command is participation. So if you want to exclude also, here you have auto exclude, include. Include 100. Okay, we are giving VLAN PVID 100. Okay, this is on interface 5. PVID we have given. Exit. Again, interface will take 10. 100/10. If you want to give a VLAN to a particular range of interface, you can give hyphen. You can choose the interface 1/0/13. So all those interfaces will be having the VLAN. Okay. So first here we'll be giving in 10 same VLAN participation include 100. We give VLAN tagging 100. Okay. This is what this basic configuration in VLAN. If we give and if we give show VLAN, you can see here 100 is given to both 5 and 10. Same in the switch, you'll do 10. Same thing only. 10 you will be doing tagging and 5 you will be doing PVID. Okay. So if you want to remove a particular VLAN from the particular interface, I can go into config, interface. We are removing now, we are removing 100 VLAN from the interface 10. Okay. Interface 1/0/10. VLAN participation. Just give exclude 100. So that will be removed. Okay. Will be removed. This is what VLAN. So 5 minutes, I'll check whether lunch is
व्यवस्थित है
वो सार्वजनिक स्कीम का कुछ
सारा काम करने लगे तो
लोगों से कमांड है तो यार करता है हमें जाने का
लोगों को बार-बार कंप्यूटर करना तो है
लगाता है तो आगे क्या करे
वीडियो भी देगा कैसे पाए जा रहा है पीपीटी नेट पर भी सारे प्रैक्टिकल एक बार करता है बार-बार काम करके समझ पा दिया ना काम करने से नहीं हम लोग वो लोग करते हैं हम लोग
कमांड बहुत पहले से ठीक है
हाँ ये सब क्या है एमपी डालना वन एक बार डाल देना इसमें
सिक्योरिटी में वो फ्लडिंग ऑफ कर देता
काम रही है
है। ये तो है उसमें आइडेंटिफाई करके रखे हैं तो देते हैं तो स्विच
जो स्ट्रक्चर वाला पॉइंट है उसमें तीसरा है
फ्लडिंग ऑन ऑफ कुछ कर रहा है
ऐप वाला है ऐप करके ऐप फ्लडिंग का
उसको इनेबल करने के लिए
इनेबल करने से स्विच लॉगिन नहीं होता है
फिर वो करना है
लॉगिन होना बंद हो जाता है कंसोल से भी नहीं होता है ब्राउजर से भी नहीं होता है
उसको दिया है अप्लाई कर
मैं तो हम लिख के उसमें दे दिया हम वो करने से ही इशू होता है बाकी सब तो हो गया
ये लोग कुछ सॉल्यूशन नहीं दे पाए और पासवर्ड चेंज करने के लिए 180 डेज का वो दिया है 5 से 15 दिन तो
वो भी चला बस
हम 180 दिन कर दें नहीं उसको भी चेंज करना है तो ये इससे ना 15 दिन हाँ रिसेट हो जाता है रिसेट हो जाता है पासवर्ड नहीं यूपीआई का पासवर्ड कैसे रिसेट होगा
इसे हो जाता है डिफॉल्ट मोड में चलता है
डबल वन चला जाएगा
तो इसमें फ्लॉ है
डबल वन चला जाएगा तो कोई भी घुस के
अपना मैंने कैसे डिफॉल्ट में चला गया फर्स्ट में लॉगिन का ऑप्शन है उसके बाद दिखेगा पासवर्ड एक्सपायर थे ऑटोमेटिकली रीसेट हो जाता है तो पुराना पासवर्ड से लॉगिन कर
लॉगिन का ऑप्शन आता है ना कि 180 दिन जितना देगा उतना दिन बाद ही वो रीसेट होगा नो कर देगा तो कभी रीसेट नहीं लेकिन वो बोलता है पासवर्ड चेंज करते रहिए
अप्लाई करना पड़ेगा तो टेलीकॉम लॉगिन आजकल होता है कि वही का तो फाइल करो
अब वो खाली वही करता है खाली अभी भेज के चुप हो गया उतना दिन
काम करेंगे टमाटर लैपटॉप के लिए
वहाँ नहीं टीम्स में
टीम्स में यहाँ से नहीं होगा यहाँ से भी हो जाता है
टीम्स में जाइए टीम्स में
वो नहीं हाँ वही होगा
ये वाला है
मिडिल